So, I watched the Katt Williams interview on Club Shay Shay, and I still don't find, to my knowledge, anything that I saw which people consider to be so objectionable. As you can see on the screen, it says Shannon Sharp reacts to criticism that he didn't ask Katt Williams enough follow up questions in his viral interview. Shannon's response was, "I never said I was a journalist." I don't think it has anything to do with whether he's a journalist or not. Right? There's a lot of people online, YouTube, Rumble, wherever. To my knowledge, they have no history of journalism. They don't have a journalism degree. I don't know that they went to any college to study journalism, but they have podcasts and these shows that do very well. They do huge numbers. So that's the first thing. I don't think it has anything to do with Shannon's ability, right? Katt came to say what he had to say, and he said it. I don't know if he said everything that he wanted to say, but like I said, it was a long interview, almost 3 hours. That being said, who are the people that have a problem with what he had to say? This is what you really have to think about. That's why I have the They Live poster and the Matrix poster right next to it, because this is one of these situations that will require you to put on these glasses, that will require you to be Neo for a moment. You have to take into full context what he said. Yes, there were personal attacks leveled at Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, Ricky Smiley, all right? But people have issues with other people. That is nothing new. So, no surprise there. But everything else that he said, right? The stuff about Kevin Hart and the dress, like, that's not new. That's not a revelation. It's been said before. Dave Chappelle had an interview a long time ago, more than a decade, might have been like mid 2000s with Oprah, saying that he went through the same thing. Came into his dressing room on a set of a movie, or his trailer, I think it was, I'm paraphrasing obviously. Dressed in there, he's like, "Oh, this is the wrong trailer, because there's a dress in here." Writer and whoever comes to him, or, we have this scene where, you have to dress as a prostitute. They was like, no, I'm not doing that. Said they stayed there maybe 10 minutes trying to convince him to do it. When it was clear that he wasn't going to, he was like, left, came back a few minutes later, had a script without the dress scene in it. What does that tell you? It tells you that they tried him, he didn't go for it, and they had plan B waiting in the wind. That's what happened. So this is nothing new. When Kevin ended up doing it, what did Katt say in his interview? "Oh, we can't blame poor little Kevin. It's his turn." Right? He comes from a long line of dress-wearing men in Hollywood. True or false? It's true. If you are better than 35 years old, you might remember cartoons when they used to put them back on VHS. Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Elmer Fudd. Cartoon characters, at one point or another, the writers and creators of them had these male characters in dresses. Was it simply entertainment or programming for a younger generation? Who knows? Both. Right? Likely is both. Because, yeah, some people might think it's funny, but at the same time, why? Why would it be funny? Then I see the other side of it, right? There's those that are criticizing this journalism. There's the other side. Some of you are so self-righteous, you can't accept the plain truth. It's Katt Williams, so I hear, or Katt's a Mason. The chain is really the star of Ishtar because it has 8 points, and he's a puppet of the Illuminati and all this other stuff. Like, Does any of that negate the truth that he had to come out and say? I don't see what is it exactly that you're trying. Okay, let's just assume that he is a Mason. Was anything he said incorrect about the long line of dress wearing people in Hollywood? Or is it the fact that he's willing to expose these rituals that are done? Now, John Todd said for you to be in that industry, you have to be an initiated witch. That was what John Todd said. All of a sudden, he disappeared off the scene. So, there goes that. But regardless of where he is, what he's initiated into, he came out and said some things, stirred the pot a little bit. But as I said, some of you are so self righteous. It's like, oh, is he affiliated with this organization, so I can't take anything he says at face value? Why not? Some of you are so religious, you let everything else pass you by. Or so self righteous. That's like saying the seven principles of Ma'at or the seven principles of Hermeticism have no place with you, or they don't hold any value because of said religion. But how could you say that? What are the seven principles of Hermeticism? Vibration, correspondence, mentalism, polarity, rhythm, gender, cause and effect. Right? Obviously, they apply. They can apply in your everyday life. What about the seven principles of Ma'at? Right? Truth, justice, harmony, balance, order, propriety, and reciprocity. Because you're a so-called Christian, Catholic, whatever, these principles can't apply in your life. What about just natural law? Do they apply to that? You see, Katt's interview was good. All right, it was an interview. It was good. But was it groundbreaking? Was it earth-shaking? Not to me. I have to admit. I mean, I enjoyed it. There are certain parts of it, I still kind of question because I have no solid evidence one way or another regarding the statement he made about Chris Tucker. Right? Chris Tucker is now Epstein Island. Chris Tucker. I don't know, because sometimes you could just be in the wrong circle of people, especially if you have any level of fame and notoriety. Because let's face it, Chris Tucker did have some really big movies with big stars. I mean, he had Friday, right, which is like a cult classic, right? But he also had Money Talks, right, with that Sheen boy. That was also big, and Rush Hour. Right? So when you have these kind of big films, you have blockbusters, you have, your name is out there, your face is out there. You're funny, obviously. People in different positions, they want to get to know you. They want to be seen with you. Now, for what purpose? Obviously, their purposes will vary. Some of them might be nefarious. Who knows? Right? He also mentioned something about liking to have women around him as opposed to men. Well, in this modern era that we live in and the modern women that we deal with, it's not always possible, right? A lot of them have been brought up a certain way, and, trying to school them is usually easier said than done, unless, in most cases you have a considerable amount of money and you're able to make them see things your way. But that's really, dependent upon the level of consciousness that this person exhibits, right? I would say that would be the primary factor. How they were raised up and what you're able to accomplish with them, how they were raised would go a long way with that, as opposed to the programming and, the feminism programming that they've received over the last decade or two, right? Which to me, I mean, is detrimental to them, but, let me tell it, or let that tell it. It's opposing points. But as I said, this to me is small potatoes, right? Because we've heard before. If you haven't, most likely you've been a hermit crab under a rock, so this information is new to you. It's not new to me, right? Because there's other groundbreaking stories. Because I, you know, What happened with the coke in the White House? Whose coke was that? Is it legal to use over there? I mean, I'm not sure because that story just went hush hush. Who's the next president? Will it be Trump and Vivek? I mean, that's also kind of big news. What exactly is going on with this illegal immigration into the country? What's going on at the border? Right? Did you see the sound of freedom? Are those two things related? It seems, I mean, it might be, right? Will Americans be fleeing to Canada if Trump gets elected? Right? And what kind of people are we talking about fleeing just because this guy becomes the president? I don't know. They might have skeletons in their closet that they would prefer not be exposed, right? Because Katt did say that he's going to expose everything, right? What's her name? Cassie or whatever her name was came out, exposed Diddy. It was a big story. People were all over it, giving their support. Now Katt comes out and says some things. People have a problem with it. If you are not a willing participant in whatever is going on in that industry, then obviously you will come out and say what you have to say. You're not going to partake of it for 10 years, then come out and then try to get a bag of money and then be on your way. And for me to give you any credence like you were a victim, that's not going to happen. I know there are people that willingly participate. There has to be. And that's what Katt was saying. If there's a scene in a movie where he's called to be essayed and he's like, hey, listen, man, I'm not doing that. You give me the opportunity, I will do a scene, and the character the best that I can, bring the best to it, and you have a good product at the end. But I'm not doing that. Imagine having the gumption, right? The audacity and just self-assurance that, all right, I'm not doing this. However, if you give me the opportunity to still be in this production, I will pour my everything into it. And Katt being in a place where at the time, I think he said he needed like $100,000 to do some sort of surgery in his mouth or something like that. He said, right? You being in a position that you need this role so badly, but you're not willing to sell out to get it. Now I think that what he said right there is poignant because you have people that will do anything for money, and that's where the separation is. What Katt is saying is that yes, there are a lot of people like that out there, but I'm not one of them. Right? Now, all for the self-righteous and the holy rollers that will claim that he's affiliated with such and such organization or we can't trust him because of this. I don't think you have to trust everything anybody says. But if you're not willing to do the research, right? At least cursory, just to verify things. Like, what good are you? The thing about Hollywood is easily verified. Have you heard about the story about the two Coreys? Right? Did not a bunch of men get exposed during this whole Me Too movement? They did. Let's not even talk about Disney and the corruption, and the filth that has went on over there for, God knows how long. I don't know. Right? But you have to learn not to throw out the baby with the bathwater. I think that's the main takeaway. And as I said, I don't know that, all these big podcasts out there have anybody with a journalism degree. Not to my knowledge. You have Cameron and Mace, who came out of rap music. Right? Now they have a show that's apparently doing really well. You have Shannon Sharp coming out of, the NFL, professional football. Katt came on, stats blew up. Right? So it's possible. We have what's his name? Oh, geez. Oh, I forgot his name. Um, uh, I was thinking of the name of the guy who was doing videos since he was young a long time ago, had a wide fan base, right? Obviously didn't have any journalism degree, started when he was young, right? But there was a niche that he filled, right? So entertainment, is entertainment. You have to take it for what it is. But if there are gems being dropped, truths being unveiled, then you also take that for what it is. If you didn't know, now you know. You want to know more, obviously you have to dig deeper. It's like I just mentioned the sound of freedom. Obviously, that's something that's more important than Katt's interview, right? The border, what's going on over there? Any correlation with, I'm hearing there's kids going missing, things like that. So they are bigger fish to fry. But in perspective, what he said about the comedians, if you happen to watch them, if you happen to know them, then you just know that there's beef there. That's it. I saw this one YouTuber that said allegedly Kevin Hart is going to file a defamation lawsuit. I don't know how true that is, and I mean at this point I don't really care. But he wore the dress, so what can I say, right? It is what it is. You have to be willing to stand on your square for what you believe in. But in the interview, when it was mentioned Kevin, I must say that I did not hear him say that he would never do it. He just mentioned protecting his brand. Now, whatever that is supposed to be in the realm of Kevin Hart, then that's what you do. If that goes along with protecting your brand to the point that you have to don this purple dress and come out and make, an SNL appearance, then that's what you do. If you're Katt Williams, you don't. Simple. Right? And that's what I want the takeaway to be from this. Right? If you're a man or woman watching this, you have principles that you have to stand on. Don't be too overzealous in your religiosity or your theological beliefs that these other principles they can't apply to your life. Obviously they can. The natural laws apply to your life because there's only one power, and that is the creator of the balanced universe. Right? There's light and darkness, there's day and night, um, opposites, right? Male, female. All these things are part of nature. So everybody says there's two sides to a story. I am pretty sure I heard Katt say that people came on these different platforms, talked a bunch of ish about him, and in this new year, first month, he had to come out and speak his piece, which is what he did, right? So you take that for what it is, but to consider anything else that he said to be revelatory or earth shaking or shattering, no. These narratives have been out there before. They have been proven beyond the shadow of a doubt. If you have not researched them, that is entirely on you. But I would say that anybody with a modicum of intelligence, all you have to do is look back through film and see what he's saying is true. As for the personal issues that he has with Ali Sadiq, Kevin Hart, Cedric, Steve, Ricky Smiley, everybody has, personal issues with other people, even family members. So, let's not split hairs over something like that. It goes without saying. You can't please everybody, right? But from what I've heard from other people, he's a stand-up dude. He tries a lot to help other people. Heard he adopted a bunch of kids to try to help them out. Obviously not to try to replace the father in their lives, but to just, the fact that there was a lack in their life and he was able to provide for them. That's what he wanted to do. So, you give Jack his jacket, you give kudos and accolades where they are necessary, and that should be the takeaway from it at the end of the day. And that's my 2 cents. So, if you're interested in my commentary, my take, obviously you will subscribe, you will share, you will like the content, and you will obviously prepare to receive more. All right. Until next time, peace.